welcome to another episode of the SeforimChatter podcast, and I'm Nachi Weinstein. Enjoy this Chanukah-themed episode. Next week, the new series, The 10 Lost Tribes in Jewish Consciousness, will begin on the podcast. Episodes will be released on Sundays, with some additional episodes being released at other times. Stay tuned for more information. Additionally, there's now a SeforimChatter WhatsApp community. There's an admin-only chat where I post new Seforim, books, and the like, similar to what I post on Twitter or X, as well as an associated discussion chat for the podcast, as well as one where I discuss Seforim and new books. You can see the link for that in the show's notes. Also, I'm starting a connected SeforimChatter substack, where I plan on posting posts related to the podcast, essays, Seforim reviews, as well as guest posts. There will be a paid option for some additional content, and you can support SeforimChatter that way. So stay tuned for that. More information forthcoming, but you can see the link in the show's notes to sign up for that. To sponsor an episode or to support the podcast, please email me, SeforimChatter@gmail.com, or see the links and information in the show's notes. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. Now it's Chanukah. For those of you that don't have 24/6, I want to give them, again, a plug. It's really a terrific service. They have various devices as well, and everything Jewish-related, songs, music videos if you want, or you have the option of turning that off on your account, podcasts, and so on. And also for rating and reviewing, especially if you can on Apple, thank you to those who have, but it helps the podcast if you can rate it, and if you're really able to review it as well, it does help. So thank you, and a freilich Chanukah to everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the SeforimChatter podcast. On this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be joined once again by R Yechiel Goldhaber, noted tour guide, historian, lecturer, author of many books, Seforim articles, and we'll be discussing the history of games and Chanukah especially. This is something that R Yechiel worked on extensively. He has many writings, many articles, you can call them. It's really a book, a sefer that hasn't been published. And this is what, and we'll get into a little bit. We'll mention dreidel, but really other games, other things like that happen on Chanukah. So thank you, R Yechiel, for joining me once again.
Okay, my pleasure.
So why did you? How did you decide to?
How did I start?
Go ahead.
So around 50 years ago, I wrote a lot of articles. I write a lot of articles. So one day, one Chanukah, I thought maybe I should go into the sugya of playing dreidel and cards on Chanukah, and I found very interesting information that's not so known, and I sent it out. It was an article of 15 pages, all kinds of not known information, all kinds of kehillas. That the major point was that a lot of kehillas didn't let. They gave out a takana that the you're not allowed to play any play a whole year. We'll soon get to the reason why, but only Chanukah and Purim and another few days in the middle of the year you're allowed to play. So this hit my eye, and I put together around 20, 30 kehillas that had this takana, and I gave it out. That was around 50 years ago. Around 10 years ago, I was working for a famous collector in Williamsburg. One of the biggest collectors today. His name is R Yechiel Goldhaber, and he has a manuscript of one of the biggest mikubalim in Italy, the Ramaz, Moshe Sakuta. And he wrote takanas in his city. And one of the takanas is this, a whole list of games that you're not allowed to play in the middle of the year. Only Chanukah and Purim, and by a chasana, and a Sheva Brachas, and a bris, and a whole list of Yom Pagras that you're allowed to play. And he has a whole list of all kinds of plays, all kinds of games written in Italian. So I had to break my teeth to find out every play definition of every game. So this I gave out. He gave out a very choshev sefer called Ginze Yehuda, around 15 new manuscripts. So this is one of the manuscripts. So, and I wrote a Hagdama on all the Isurim that came out on playing games. That was around 7-8 years ago. From then on, I jumped into this sugya and I found the ocean of material, a mamash ocean. So the first thing, I went into the sugya in the Gemara. There's a famous sugya in Gemara Sanhedrin about mesachek b'kuvya. We have to know, by the way, that these games came into the Yiddish communities through Rome. Yeah, Rome. Here in Eretz, and also it had an influence in Iraq and Babel also. And by the way, I'm a shtickle expert in Yerushalayim. We just found last year in the Roman streets of Yerushalayim that were just revealed games. What does it mean? We found games. We found mamish games. We found the stones and the tables that they played on. It's a fascinating chiddush. Okay, so in Chazal we have a major sugya if a mesachek b'kuvya is posel le'edus or not. Mesachek b'kuvya means someone that plays with games with cards for money. What's the problem? So there's two reasons in Gemara. One reason is because he's not working. The whole day is playing around with his games. And that's not our goal in life. Second reason is it's a shaila of gneva, because someone that goes into playing a game, he invests the money only because he knows that he's going to win. If he, the end of the day, didn't win, so he regrets on his deal. So it could be it's a type of gneva. These are the two reasons, and it has a major impact in the Rishonim and Shulchan Aruch. With which reason do we go? What is the difference between the two reasons? Someone that works the whole day. At night, he's tired. He can't go to shir and daf yomi, so he goes into the bar and he plays games. So he works, he does whatever he needs. So this goes into the difference between both reasons. If the reason is mesachek b'kuvya is also because eino ma'asik b'yeshuva shel olam, so he's all right and he's kosher leidus. But if the reason is it's a problem money-wise, so even if he works the whole day, he goes into this problem. This is one major sugya in the Rishonim that took me a long time to cover this sugya. The end of the day, it's a machlokas the mechaber and the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch. The Bas Yosef holds the reason is because there's a problem with gneva. So if there's a problem with gneva, even if he works, there's a problem. And the Ramah says no, we can rely on the second time as someone that works could play games on money. Okay, so we are Ashkenazim, we have no problem, but the problem came over. The Rashba and another few Rishonim come up with a chiddush. Even if we go with this reason of Eidem Oisig Yeshuva Shalena, but there are more problems of, I would say, problems that we see today. Addiction. This is the Chiddush of the Ramban and the Rashba. No problem. If someone gets addicted to games, even if he works, so he could come up with lies, he could come up with false vows, and he could come up with losing his property. This is a major problem. So we have it. We have three stems or three trees of problems. And all the Gdolei Achronim are cooking in this sugya, and this has a major impact in all the games that we have later on. And there's dozens of games. It's very hard to tell which games do they mean, because it's all kinds of Latin and Greek and German names. It's very hard for me to translate them because there's no games today, all kinds of numbers. I still didn't get it. If someone could help me, if someone's an expert in old games, I would be more than happy if he could contact me. Okay, so this is the foundation of the sugya. The sugya and the psak in Chanukah. Now, I mentioned before that all the kehilas, I'm saying all is all the major kehilas in Germany and Austria and Poland, and then Holland and England, then going down to Greece, and then the Ottoman Empire, and then Spain, all over. I found takanas from the 12th century on, very, very early, when the kehillah could play games. Now, it went so far that people were so addicted to playing, they didn't listen to the kitakan. And they sold their house, they sold their children, and they sold their wives. And the Rabbanim went, what could they do? So they went to the city. They went to the king in Spain, and they went to the bishop in Rome, and they went to the mayor in Germany, and they should throw out this guy or throw him into jail or any punishment they would be able to do. And that's how they were, they looked upon that the Kana should go on and shouldn't be mezazah. I would say that 90% or even more, 95% of the Dakonas and all these kehilas give an open door in a Yom D'Pagah. Yom D'Pagah is, the main Yom D'Pagah is Chanukah and Purim. And then on, we have Chol HaMoed and all kinds of private Yom D'Pagahs, for example, a Chassan and a Sheva, Chassan and Bris, and all kinds of Simchas. Why? Because then the family didn't go to work, and instead of crawling up the walls and getting crazy and fighting with the kids, so they have an opportunity to play. So now we have a lot of stories and documents on dreidel and cards of Chanukah. A dreidel is speak 2 minutes on a dreidel. The dreidel is a Roman play or German play from the 15th or 16th century. The item is not so familiar. By us, it says Nun Gimel Hey Shin. Everybody understands that this is Nes Godel Hayasham, and that, today in Israel, they changed. Could be the Zionist movement changed. We're not sure. Nes Godol Hayapo. Instead of Shin, they put in a Pei. But this is a mistake. It was N, G, H, and SH. N is nicht, and it means that you lost the game. Gimel is ganz, he got the whole money. H is halb, half, and Shin is stell ein. You have to invest more money. Versteht sich die Jiden, or the Hasidic Jiden, I'm not sure yet. Every Goyish idea, they translated it into a Yiddish idea. Even the Hasidic Sforim gave an even deeper idea. The Bris also says it means Goyshna. The Parshas Vayeshev, that's a Parsha of Chanukah. Yehuda went to Goyshna. These are the 4 Goliyos. I think there's a shtickle abbreviation of Nachman Breslev. But on the other hand, the Keilis also gave a permission to play cards. The dreidel are mostly for kids, and the cards were mostly for elder. And by the way, there's a famous picture of Morris Oppenheim, or a gewaldige picture of a Chanukah in Frankfurt. And you can see clear that the father and the older kids are playing chess or cards, and the kids are sitting on the floor and playing dreidel. Today we all know through the Sifrei from the Likutim and Chanukah that the Hasidic Sforim, Kedushas Levi and the Mesachek were very sharp against cards in Chanukah. They write that in every card there's a tumah. And we have to understand what is the difference for cards and a dreidel. If the problem is money-wise, it's the same problem. No one went out against the dreidel. All the tzaddikim, they had silver dreidlach and they played them every Chanukah. So I found that this inyan that all the cards have a shtickle tum on them it didn't stop at the Hasidim. It started way back. I think it's until now the Malach didn't bring it. In the 17th century, I have a very Mikubolim that write the same idea that on the cards that we play Chanukah, there's Sheire a Ruach Ro, a Ruach Tumah, and they go into details of the numbers. And now I'm not an expert on these numbers, and it's very hard for me to understand. There's number 9 and 6 and 12 and 11. At the end of the day, all these Mikubalim and then the Magidim are very sharp against the cards. So it could be, not sure. Again, if someone has a different interpretation, I'm ready to hear. It could be that it means the pictures that are on the cards. Could be. Okay. One of the famous gamblers was a famous Rav in Italy, in Venezia, in the 16th century, called Rabbi Yehuda R Yechiel Goldhaber. Rabbi Yehuda R Yechiel Goldhaber is famous for his criticism of Zoya, but he's also famous for his gambling and his losing all his money. It's very funny. He gave out a sefer in his young years, Sumera, a whole booklet against gambling, and he alone fell into this game. He fell in so far that he lost all his property, once and twice and 3 times. Now it's interesting. The second time he played from Rosh Hashanah until the end of Cheshvan. He lost his house. A year later, he didn't play this in this month. He played only Chanukah, and he lost his whole money. And he finishes his sad life. He lost all his property. He had 3 sons. One died. One also gambled and had to run away because he lost his money. And the third one had another problem. He had no nachas from his 3 sons. The reason that I jumped into this sugya is because today, we see that a lot of people get addicted to all kinds of games. Yeah, we're holding the cell phones in the hand, so it's not so far from us. And it bothered me. So I started to look for these problems are not from the 21st century. Now they're going back even, I would say, 800 years ago. I have a shaila in the Shoinim that's not known, that someone in a very chashuv kehillah gambled until he sold his whole property. His wife wanted to get a divorce from him. She went to the Rav, to the Rosh, and they came with a conclusion that if he's going to go one more time to this gamble place, he's going to give a divorce. And he signed on a zettel that he's masking to this tonight. Meanwhile, she left home. She went to her father. She was by her parents' home. He signed by the Rav on this condition, and the zettel, this contract, came. His shver, her father, was holding the contract. Meanwhile, she didn't come home yet. He was home by himself. Didn't have what to do. He came home from work. He found 4 walls. So he went to gamble. She comes home. And she heard that last week he gambled. So she came to the Rav. He has to give me a get. So what did he answer? He answered, he didn't come home yet. He didn't come home yet, so I don't have to listen. I didn't have to only if the condition was when you come home. That's what he thought. Meanwhile, her father heard of it, and he said, he's right. The son-in-law's right, and the daughter's not right. So what did he do? He tore the star. So the shaila came again to the Rosh, and he said, no way. He signed from today on, he's not going to gamble, and he didn't listen. He has to give a get. There's a different shaila in the Rishonim that someone signed that they're gonna chop off his hand if he gambles again. I have a bunch of manuscripts that I found. Over 20 manuscripts. Most of them are in Italy and in Spain, of Jews from the 14th century on, that they were makabel on themselves if they're going to play again, if they're going to gamble again, they're going to give a knas, or they're going to send them out of the city. Very harsh punishments. One of the major shilas in these years the 16th, 17th, 18th century is that someone made it. There were a lot of Eden that made a neder. They fell and fell again and fell again. They made a neder or a shvur that from today on I'm not gonna play. But the Tzahar was stronger and they fell and they started to play again. So they came to the road and they said, I don't have the strength to fight with my Tzahara, so I want to be Matir, the neder or the shvur. If I would have known, I wouldn't be able to stand strong against this addiction. I wouldn't have swear. So there's a major machlikas gdoilei poskim. What is the right way? One says, no, we have to still fight with it. So the only way of fighting, if this shvur is going to go on. Okay, it'll fall once, it'll fall twice, it'll fall 3 times. At the end of the day, he'll have strength and he'll go on the right path. Others say, no, it doesn't pay to be over on a neder or a shvur in the time that we know that it's going to fall again and again. As I have a major chapter on this machlokes. Goes into the philosophy of gambling.
I want to say, R Yechiel, for a second, going back for 1 second. So you mentioned the Yehuda Modena.
Yes.
Not of Modena, Venice, really. And so his autobiography, which is famous, it's a fascinating read, by the way, for all the listeners. Chai Yehuda, and it's been translated into English in a critical edition through Princeton University Press.
I didn't know. Yeah,
that's
nice.
Really fascinating read. And just in general, like you're saying, that about gambling, you mentioned that, people think it's sometimes today in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and now it's so easy. You said with the phone, it's sports gambling and sports betting and DraftKings and fantasy football. And this is not, it's an older thing. Like you say, it's been going on for centuries. We see it in the Tshuvas. We see it in the Seforim. You see it about Chanukah, which is what we're here discussing, really. So the shaila is, and I don't know if you mentioned specific, Gedolim, but you mentioned there are some, talk about Germany, going back to Germany, you have the Mary Weil, the Mary Bruna, they say Lahedja, Chanukah's mutter. So at the end of the day, like you mentioned at the beginning to start the sugya, why on Chanukah suddenly is it okay? Whichever reason you go with, according to the Rishonim, is it an addiction? It's because you're not working. It's Shalav Geneva. Why on Chanukah? A lot of places, a lot of Seforim held.
No. So if we'll go with the Ramah, there's no problem because the whole year he works, and Chanukah a few hours a day he plays. So it's not there's no problem of Eino Osim Yeshuva Shalom. Lefi the Mechaber that holds that there's a problem in Geneva because that's Machtas Leikanyed, then there is that problem. But there's a heter, even in the Mechaber, there's a heter. If you put away the money, if you put the money now on the table, means if everybody plays on $10, yeah, and then Reuven wins, so Shimon has to take out the money of his pocket and put it on the table, there's a problem. But if both put the $10 on the table, so they were makna already the money. So the majority of the poskim hold that even the Mechaber is moida that there's no problem. Now it's very interesting. The famous Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, in Chelik Dalet, he has a big tshuva that us Sfardim are not allowed to buy lotto, the raffles, the lotto, the lottery. Why? Because it's a shayla vasmachte leikani, but it's very, very modern. I don't want to say funny, but it's very modern because I'm saying the majority of the poskim hold that even in the Miss Yosef, but if you put down the money before the play, then there's no problem. So over here, everybody that buys a lottery, he doesn't have the money yet. Yeah, he's waiting to win, but the money he lost already. So I would say that in the lottery there's no problem, and Chanukah there's no problem. Okay, today I don't know who plays Bechlal with money in Chanukah.
Chocolate coins.
Yeah, well, that's not bad. You got most of the Rishonim that say you shouldn't play with money, but the matir food. They used to play on nuts or all kinds of food. By the way, the Chazal, we also have these gambles with the nuts. We're playing with nuts. Maybe I will finish with a few interesting stories on Chanukah. They were holding Mamish Erev Chanukah. That there were a lot of Rosh Hashivas, I would say before the Second War, that they let the Bachrim play Chanukah. Only Chassidish yeshivas were against playing, I would say. But in Lithuania or in Poland and Hungary, they used to play, even play on money. It's hard to tell, but there was a famous maskil called. It was a very sharp maskil Yalag, Yechiel Goldhaber. He writes in his Zechonis, he learned he was a yeshiva bachar, a very choshev yeshiva in the area of Vilna, and he mentions that in his yeshiva they used to, even the Rosh Yeshiva that used to play with the bachrim, but there was one Rosh Yeshiva that used to mark out on the cards, used to erase the pictures of that are on the cards. So it's interesting. So that's, in my eyes, that's a Hasidish Indian. There was a famous Maggid in Vilna called Metzion Ilfas. His father or grandfather, I'm not sure, was Zoichet to see the Goyen, the Vilna Goyen. He wrote over 100 books, 100 Seforim, in Musar, mostly in Musar and Yiddish. Mamish at the end of his life, he died by, I think it was around 100 years old. He came up there to soil in 1924, and he settled in Petach Tikva, and then he came up in Yerushalayim, and he passed away in 1941. Before he came here, before he made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, he wrote his Zechonis, and he writes that his mother caught him one Chanukah playing, and she gave him Musar, talking about a woman from Vilna, that this is not for yeshiva bachar, this is only for small kids. Yeshiva bachar doesn't have no shaykhs with playing cards Chanukah. So in 1906, he printed a tchina, a sefer tchinas. So he has a tchina in Yiddish for Chanukah licht, before lighting the candles. So in this tchina, he has a sentence: I'm asking Hashem to give me strength not to be metama the heilige tag, the holy days, with litzonis and goldenspin. There was a a modern writer, Shmuel Leib Horowitz, from Arodna, and he remembers there was a famous tzaddik of Nochemke from Arodna. Chavetz Chaim was a talmid of his, and he used to go around every night after Ma'ariv for tzedakah for poor people. He writes even for goyim. He used to go around. So this Shmuel Horowitz writes in his memories that when I was a yeshiva bachar, after learning at night, we used to sit and play games and money. One night, Reb Nachemke came into the yeshiva. We were in the middle of the shop, the middle of the playing, and we were very shocked that he caught us with this avla. So we wanted to right away hide the cards. He said, no. So he writes in Yiddish, "Nicht kosher kinderlach. Seid mamshach spielen. Go further, you play." The Rebbe soll lech matzliach sein. It's very interesting. But the money that you gain, give for me because I'm going I'm going around for tzedakah. Now, R Yechiel Goldhaber was born in 1880 in Vilna. And he writes in the kibbutz of Vilna the same thing. When he went into the kibbutz is the yeshiva, the vat from Vilna. After his bar mitzvah, he came into the vat, and at night, he sees that all the bochim sit together, and they're very, very quiet, and everyone is looking on a table, and there are plastic pieces on the table. He didn't know what's going on, but no one is moving their heads. They're all focusing on these plastics. He didn't understand what it is. Until he asked someone, what's going on? So he said, you don't know? This is shach. Every night we play shach. Chess. So he said, what? Over here in Vilna, you should play chess? That was his jumping into the yeshiva.
And really,
yes.
Yeah, I want to know, and your writings on this are, I think, tell me how many, 11? I know it's at least 11, maybe more. I know it's like over 250 pages that you put together of writing, of history, of sources, facsimiles. I mean, it's extensive. Is there any plans that you're going to publish this in a sefer?
If I'm also looking for help because there's a lot of manuscripts that takes me a long time to not to translate them, but to write them over.
Transcribe.
And also, if someone can help me with money, it will be a big help to give it out because it's going to cost. I'm not going to say a fortune, but I can't support it. I have major chidushim in the halacha part, and mostly in the historical part. I have chidushim all over, from east to west, from all over, mamash all over. Very interesting stories from Rabbanim and Rebbes Rosh Yeshivas. I went through dozens of biographies of going back to 150 years ago. Manuscripts. I have a manuscript of a tudat yoire. How do you say it? Someone to become a rav. How do you say it in English?
No, not in English.
A smicha for a rav. So there's a rav in Germany 180 years ago. He gives a very, very warm smicha, and he writes that he's a Boki and Shulchan Aruch and a Shas, and I learned with him together, and he was a mafal from the yeshiva. But I'm giving the smicha in 3 to 9. Okay, the first one is very, very interesting. You shouldn't go to a place where they dance mixed dance. The second t'nai is you shouldn't gamble. It gives us a picture what was going on in Frankfurt in those years.
Person.
Yeah,
he's giving smicha. He's giving smicha to this person. It's not like this is some random.
It's not a takana. It's not a takana.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's
you're
very
writing
interesting.
really
Very interesting.
So what I want to say to listeners are, so if anyone wants to help you out, I'm going to put your email in the show's notes. If anyone wants to contact you, they can contact me through me. I'm happy to help. By the way, I mentioned at the beginning, you're a tour guide, and anyone's in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim. I don't know how many tours right now, but unfortunately, if anyone is looking for a tour guide, and to reach out to you, again, I'll put your email. They can contact you. And, and you go through the whole sugya, not only on Chanukah, but I think the point to take out of this, people want to know about dreidel and Chanukah, is that clearly they weren't playing dreidel and that they weren't learning, and then when the Avanim came, hit it and took out the dreidel and started spinning the dreidel. That is not what happened.
Yeah, but, that's nice stories to tell the cheder.
But it's not exactly what happened. But we do see there, what you're saying, what the heter is to play. People play games and kvitlach and dreidel, and the kids are busy in Disney cards now and whatever's going on. We see where everything is coming from. So thank you, R Yechiel, for joining me once again. And this was, we could have gone much longer. I mean, you're writing again. It's over 250 pages what you wrote on this. So there's a lot more for people to read, so they can contact you or contact me. And one final thing, obviously, if they want to help support, they should contact. But are any of these still available? If anyone contacts you, would you give out any of the writings, or you're waiting really to try to publish it?
I'm waiting. I have a lot of more material, but if someone could help me, money-wise, I would finish it. I would finish it's a major project.
Okay, so I'll put your email in the show's notes, and listeners again can contact me if they want. SeforimChatter@gmail.com. And thank you again. Everyone should have a Chanukah.
Bye bye.